Hey guys, it's the middle of April. We're in the greenhouse taking a look at some of the potatoes that we planted. Let's see, what happened to it? Here it is. So this is Red La Rosa on March 22nd. You can see the ones in the container and the ones directly in the ground. These have been already hilled up with compost and leaves, so they're a lot taller than these ones. And here we have some more shitting to go outside. So brassicas have been doing really well. You can see all of this kind of weedy looking stuff is dill, mostly. Some random stuff like the volunteer tomato here has been doing really well. There's a California poppy right there, I can see. Looks very similar to dill. Don't eat that one. And let's see, here we have the sherbet. Very thick stem on this one. See how thick that is? Man, but incredible smell. Sun's already putting out terpenes like crazy. Very bushy, dense structure. Alright, so back there we have a little bit of lettuce, a lot of Swiss chard that needs to be thinned out, and then some beets. I think there's some carrots in there somewhere. See how well these first planted brassicas are doing. And here we have the Oregon lemon. This one's a bit more stretchy. Just starting to stack up. Okay, so the peas have been doing really well. About 2.5 feet tall here. And you can compare them to the ones that are outside the secondary cover. You know, the tallest there are about 10 inches. And here's the potatoes that are outside the secondary cover. So lots of growth already happening. So here we have some of the summer crops. Tomatoes, peppers, and eggplants. You can see those have been doing really well. There's a little root sticking out already. So those will be ready to go out in no time. Of course, if you grow something and transplant it, pot it up or whatever, you're never going to have a true taproot. Whereas if you did it with direct seed it right into the ground, then you can have a true taproot. The tea plant we have here has been putting out a lot of new growth. And to make actual tea, you would pick these kind of top 2 buds or 2 leaves and the top bud, like so, this much here. And that's what would be processed. And I think if you're making like white tea, you'd pick only the very youngest part. And green tea and black tea and all the different variations are just different ways of processing it. The fermentation and the drying and whatever else. There's a little citrus. Alright, so that's pretty much it. It's been a hard 20 minutes of arduous work here at the garden. So I'm ready to head home, and I'm gonna go ahead and pick some mushrooms to cook up tonight. So let's go check those out. So I saw a nice patch over here on the outside of the greenhouse, growing in the past. Oh, by the way, here's a little competitor coming up, some native one. So you can see where we stopped the inoculation, basically right here. That's cool. We have plenty of wine caps here. So these big ones. We'll have to cut it open and see if, so you can see this one here. I don't even have to cut it. These little holes here is where the larvae of the fungus gnat went in. So they're probably in there chewing it to pieces. So we'll have to check these for worminess. There's some nice ones coming up. There's one that probably a duck kicked over or something. Some more. Alright, so we're gonna pick some of those now. Alright, we're back inside with our little haul of mushrooms. We had to kind of cut around some stuff. Most of them were wormy, so they have the larva inside of them eating it. And here's what that actually looks like if you cut one open. You can see all these little channels where the larvae have been going in, and they always go in one direction, they always go up. So, cut that open. Yeah, well, there's even a centipede that we cut apart, but there's like a piece of the larva right there. But you can see on these wine caps, often they don't make it really into the cap. So in this one, you could just do that. Well, you can still see some channels there. So let's go a little deeper. And there, that's pretty much clean. And same with that one. And here's what a completely clean one looks like. So if you have ones that you accidentally took that are wormy, don't make the mistake of storing them with clean ones, especially in the fridge, because at that cold temperature what will happen is that the larvae inside of here will be driven out looking for warmer temperatures, and then they'll be trapped, of course, and so they'll just go into other mushrooms and just destroy everything. So check for the worms in the field. So we're gonna get these cut up, and we're gonna start sauteing them. Alright, so those are cooking up. You can see they're releasing all their liquids. They're going to shrink down a lot. It's mostly water. But the cell walls of mushrooms are made out of chitin, which is also the compound that arthropod shells are made out of. So insects, crustacean, that type of stuff. Maybe why they taste so good. And the interesting thing about mushrooms is that you really can't overcook them. Yeah, if you use a really high temperature, the chitin's a polysaccharide, so it will eventually burn. But if you use a low, kind of medium temperature, you can cook them and cook them and cook them, and their consistency doesn't change much. Whereas, if you do that to meat, it gets tougher and drier over time if you just keep on cooking it. And if you do that to most vegetables, they get softer and softer over time. So, kind of appropriate for fungi to be in their own kingdom. Always fun to ask a vegan or vegetarian if they eat mushrooms and see how they respond. Most of them have never even given a second thought. So we're sweating out all that moisture, and so at this point we're using kind of a medium-high heat, and then later on we'll reduce it a bit. So mushrooms are very nutritional, but like most things we eat, and especially mushrooms because of that chitin, they really have to be cooked to make them nutritionally available. You can just digest much more of the stuff out of them once you cook them. Alright, so we got most of the water evaporated off, so we're done with that initial sweating stage. So I'm going to turn the temperature down to a low, add some oil. And for the recipe I'm making, I'm going to add some onion at this point. If you add it at the beginning, the chances are the onion will overcook. If you want to add garlic to this recipe, which would be great with mushrooms as well, don't make the mistake of adding it right now. That will definitely overcook, and those flavor compounds in garlic are quite volatile, so you'll lose them, and then it will begin to burn, and when garlic burns, it goes extremely bitter. Most years I actually grow about 100 heads of garlic, all like different heirloom varieties and stuff. And in recent years I've been converting most of that actually straight to garlic powder right from the start. If you're into like the actual flavor of garlic, there's really nothing better than homemade garlic powder. It is absolutely nothing like the stuff you buy in the store. I know that's kind of cliche you hear over and over with homegrown stuff, but this one I've never seen a better example. So if you want that real flavor, there's no better way than the garlic powder. It has that huge surface area. It's dried, so it's concentrated. So that's really good. But that especially you'd only want to add at the very end so it doesn't burn. Okay, so we're going to start frying this up. And while we do that, I'm also going to cook some potatoes as well. But that's obviously going to have to go in a separate pan because there's no space in that for here. Alright, the mushrooms and onions are done, and the potatoes are looking like they're pretty much done as well. So I'm going to season this with salt, pepper, and I'm also going to add paprika and just a little bit of caraway seed. You can, season to taste. And so we're going to combine everything here. Now, if you wanted to, you could add some butter at this moment. This would be a good time to add it and let it, brown up a little bit. The final thing we'll add it when we go to serve it. We're gonna have this with some steaks, and we're gonna chop up some dill from the greenhouse, and we will have it with some sour cream as well. If you haven't tried that combination, sour cream and dill, obviously it's a classic and it grows amazing with mushrooms. In fact, it's springtime, so the morel season is right around the corner here. And often people get kind of stomach upsets when they eat morels, especially if they've been drinking alcohol. There's kind of a reaction that happens with that mushroom. One kind of folk remedy for that, to counteract that, is to eat morels always with dairy. Not sure if that's been studied or anything, but it's kind of one of those folk things that some cultures know about. And it just tastes amazing. I freaking love sour cream. Alright, so let me know in the comments your favorite way to prepare mushrooms. This exact same dish would work great with just regular button mushrooms you buy from the store. I love agaricus. I think it tastes great, very easy to cook. Not the easiest to identify in the field, so make sure if you're doing that, you know your stuff, you know all the little tricks with the pink gills and the yellow flesh and all that nonsense. Or better yet, just buy them in the store. Alright, so let me know which way you guys like to cook mushrooms, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.